So this video is going to teach you how to do this RNA decomp and reconstruction. So the first thing that needs to happen, that would have happened beforehand, you don't really get to see this typically, as the scientists would take that chunk of RNA and put it into a restrictive enzyme that cuts that RNA after every G, right? Resulting in small fragments that look like this. And again, it's only once they're small fragments that I can really read them. So I can tell that it's a UG because it's tiny, right? But when it's a larger chunk, it's not readable. So they use the restrictive enzymes to cut them into little pieces, but they also use UC restrictive enzymes that cut behind U's and C's, right? I don't really need to cut there, but you get the idea. And you get different fragments. But those fragments, as you can see, overlap each other a little bit, right? So let's imagine that I never really could see these guys, right? I don't know what that looks like, right? But I do see these little pieces that came from my restrictive enzyme that cuts behind G and the restrictive enzyme that cuts behind U's or C's. So the next thing I go through and do is on the G fragments, I know these are G fragments, right? I put a hyphen behind all U's and C's because I have to connect one group to the other, right? And the UC fragments, I'm going to put hyphens behind G's. Now, if there is no G, then I just cross it out. It doesn't matter, right? But this one has a G, this one has a G, right? Now, from there, I start building a map, and I'm going to follow a path to figure out what my RNA, my original RNA really looked like. So the first path that I'm going to draw is from a U to a G, because I took this fragment over here, and that hyphen is my arrow, right? There's a directionality to these things. Remember, there's 5' 3' ends to DNA, RNA. So I know it's going from U to G, not the other way around, right? But I also have an AU going to a G, and that would be my second fragment, right? So just start building this path. The next one, the AC goes nowhere. That hyphen is at the end, so I don't really need that. But then I get my UC fragments, and I have G's going to AU, and I use existing nodes in my path, right? I didn't have to create a G, I didn't have to create an AU, I just need a new arrow going in the opposite direction. But now I need to go from G to AC. The G exists, but an AC doesn't exist yet. So I add in that last arrow, that last node, and now I just follow this path. And it's really pretty intuitive, straightforward. I have to start at U over here because it has arrows leaving and none coming in, right? I also have to finish at AC over here because there's an arrow going into it, but none leaving. But if I follow this path and I go over each path once, I go from starting at U to a G, then I go to an AU, then I go back to that G, and then I go from that G to an AC at the end. And this should be my original piece of RNA over here. Again, normally I don't get to see both things, right? I have to complete my path to actually know what that RNA looks like, but I'm showing you the whole process in these first couple examples.